Welcome to the Pac-12 on ESPN from Matthew Knight Arena in Eugene, Oregon. We're ready for a top 10 showdown. The Stanford Cardinal, ranked 3rd in the country. The Oregon Ducks, ranked 8th. A great one here in prime time on a Sunday night inside Matthew Knight Arena. And it is great to have you with us. With Holly McPeak, I'm Eric Free. Great crowd here as well as we're ready for this showdown. Two really good teams. You would not be surprised if these two teams made it to Tampa come championship time.
No, this is an incredible opportunity for both teams to measure their progress throughout this season. They're both going to be in the postseason, but they can match up late in that NCAA bracket. So it's a really nice test for both teams.
You know the Stanford team. It is very familiar. It's an all-star group at this point. They've played at such a high level for so long, and Kendall Kipp is having a fantastic 5th year for Stanford.
Kendall Kipp is the reigning Pac-12 Player of the Year. She is the anchor in the most dangerous offense in the country, but she can get it done on both sides of the ball. She's one of the best servers on the team. She gets it done defensively. She is dangerous.
It's an elite Stanford attack. Oregon's defense can play at an elite level. They'll have to tonight.
Well, that's the only way you're going to beat or slow down the best offense in the country. It starts at the net, but the backcourt defense of Oregon is elite, and they're going to need to play really well to slow down Stanford.
Oregon 17 wins overall in the season. Stanford with 16 victories. They've won 10 in a row. And really, when you look at the matchup, something's got to give. You see where Stanford is. 1st in the nation in kills percent, 2nd in the nation in hitting percentage, but Oregon is right there with the defense, and Oregon is not too shabby offensively, and Stanford's pretty good defensively as well. And what's at stake? Stanford has been on a run in conference play. Their last loss in Pac-12 play was last September to Oregon. In fact, Oregon has won the last 3 matches in this series, so they match up pretty well against Stanford.
It's an incredible matchup. Actually, they're very similar in their composition, the way they're made up. 2 of the best setters in the country.
And on a Sunday evening, they move this game to prime time for a national audience. The crowd has turned out. They're making some noise here at Matthew Knight Arena. We are ready for play. Oregon wearing the black tonight. Set to serve, and Hannah Pukis, the setter, puts it into play. There's that Oregon block right from the very start. And the back row defense with the dig. Back row attack. First point goes to the Ducks.
Oregon's defense able to score in transition, and it all started with a block and then a backcourt dig.
This is a matchup of 2 excellent setters. Hannah Pukis for Oregon, Cami Minor for Stanford. Here is Minor with the set. And that one drops in for the first point for the Cardinal.
That time, Katie Baer just went over the top, high contact point to that deep line.
Baird at 3.3 kills a set, hitting at 287. Minor with the serve. Well done by Pukis. Held it in the air for Karen McGee, the middle with the kill.
And Oregon wants to get their middles going. Karen McGee led them in kills with 14 kills out of the middle on Friday night.
Here is Gabby Gonzalez getting her first taste of the Oregon-Stanford rivalry in volleyball, the transfer from Ohio State in their first season with the Ducks. Another quick attack by Stanford, and a point for the Cardinal.
Cami Minor is so athletic, getting up there, jump setting that ball and feeding her hitter on the pin.
Minor 1st in the country in assist percent, averaging 12 a set. Here is Baird, senior from Indianapolis. Team leader in kills twice during her Stanford career. McGee got it over. Ogilvy on the right side off the block, and a kill for Kendall Kipp, and Stanford's in front.
Kipp working the outside hand of Mimi Collier. We talked to both Kevin Hambley for Stanford and Matt Ulmer for Oregon, and they wanted that matchup. Kipp versus Collier.
Both coaches were anticipating that matchup and looking for it. Why is that, do you think?
Well, you're the most dominant hitter against your most dominant blocker, and vice versa.
Oregon bounces back, gets the kill, and their libero Georgia Murphy will head back to serve. That one is going to sail long. Oregon is going to be aggressive. Matt Ulmer said, we cannot serve easy or it is over tonight against Stanford. He's willing to have some service errors here tonight.
Yeah, that was the theme talking to him. We have to be fearless to beat the Stanford team.
Ogilvy with the serve. Colby Neal into the match. There she is on the attack. Pukas sets it for Neal again, who drops it down.
Matt Ulmer, the head coach for Oregon, has to be happy with what he's seen. Hannah Pukas really pushing those middle attackers, and they've been one-on-one. That's a high percentage offensive attack point.
Gailey McClellan on the serve as you take a look at Matt Ulmer, 7th season now, an assistant at UO for 3 seasons before taking over here in Eugene as the head coach. Ogilvy calls for it. The bump set contacted the net. A chance here for Pukas. Collier thought it was touch. She does get the call. It's a point for Oregon.
Mimi Collier hits that one flat, getting a little piece of the block in transition.
Stanford disagrees, and it looks like Kevin Hambley has pulled out the challenge card. That is correct. So Stanford thinks there was no touch. Kevin Hambley also in his 7th season, his 15th overall as a head coach. He was at Illinois prior to heading to the farm. Let's take a look at some replays here. Was there a touch?
I don't see a touch on Kip, but I can't see Vicini's hand. There's no touch. Wow.
Saw Francis and Vicini, and they turned to the bench and said nope,
yeah,
and challenge it.
I would agree.
So the initial ruling on the court, a touch. One more look, different angle. I don't see it. It looks too like Francis still on the way up on the attack, does it not? So maybe it's not Francis they're looking at. Maybe it's...
Yeah, that misses.
Yeah. So if this challenge is successful for Stanford, it'll be point Stanford, and they will retain 2 challenges. If you're unsuccessful, you lose a challenge. You can get one back in the 5th set if we get that far. So an early challenge here. So they're talking it over. We'll see what the ruling is. What are some of the things that you're looking for in this match that we should be watching here today, Holly?
Well, I think it's defensive stops. Both teams can score. Oregon's got a really fast, high-paced offense, but they really spread it around. Lots of balance. And they're going to need to slow down Kendall Kipp. I mean, she's the most dangerous offensive player in the country, but they've also got Katie Baird. I would say the 3-pin hitters for Stanford are the most dangerous. Elia Rubin, Katie Baird, and Kendall Kipp. So Oregon looking to slow them down.
The review is complete, and the challenge is successful. No touch, so point for Stanford. And Stanford will retain both challenges. By 4, Stanford. Winners of 10 in a row there. 9-0 in the Pac-12. Oregon 7-2 in the Pac-12. Little roll shot. Chance here for the Cardinal. Tooling the block and getting the kill is Rubin.
How about Kendall Kipp playing some defense in the backcourt, and then Cami Minor just pushes the pace out to that left pin.
Kipp, the reigning Pac-12 Player of the Year, first-team All-American, and she has kept that high level of play going. And as I say that, it's a service error for Kendall Kipp.
Well, I think Stanford's identity starts with their serve. They put so much pressure on you from the service line, and that's something Kevin Hambley's been really focusing on the last 5 years at Stanford.
And Kipp has been their best when it comes to service aces, 26 to lead the team this season. On the slide, Francis, returned by Oregon, and then off hands and a kill for the Cardinal again. They're up by 2 here in set 1.
Cami Miner going fast to Rubin, and that's creating problems for Neal, number 7 in black, for Oregon to get out and close that block.
Stanford coming off a win up the road in Corvallis against Oregon State. Rubin had 11 kills, hit .435 in that sweep on Friday night. That one is out.
Matt Ulmer goes directly to that green card for the challenge.
So 2 challenges here in the opening minutes of this top 10 showdown. Stanford was successful. In or out will be the question here on this attack by Mimi Collier.
Oregon's out of system. Mimi Collier comes out of the back row. Might have tagged that line.
Of course, on this unique court here at Matthew Knight Arena, that's pretty high up. That's one of the high branches, but also on the white line.
That is so close.
I think if you rack it back 1 frame, I'm not going to tell Dennis Lanius what to do, but looks like, again, when you start using phrases like looks like, feels like, might be, that's not enough to overturn.
It has to be definitive to overturn, but if it gets any piece of that white line, it's in.
Now, from where Ulmer was standing, that looked very in because it was across the court from him, and it's obviously very close, but it looked like it caught that line. Is it enough to change the call? And it is. 2 successful challenges so far, 1 for each team. So give the point to Collier and Oregon. Another kill for Mimi Collier, averaging better than 4 kills a set for Oregon. Ready to serve here. Tight set 1, best of 5. And the serve coming for the freshman from Watertown, Minnesota, Kate Thibault. Good hammer, good swing by Sammy Francis for the kill.
Sammy Francis, who's missed 3.5 matches because of a sprained ankle, working back into the lineup. Looked good on that slide attack behind the setter.
7 kills, 6 blocks on Friday night for Francis as she continues to work back towards full strength for the Cardinals. She'll go to the bench right now, and coming on the serve is Anna Pringle. Tough set, great recovery, but not enough to get it over the net for Pringle, point Oregon.
And you see the theme continue. Oregon out of the middle. That's where they think they have the advantage. If you look at attempts, I think Oregon sets their middle much more than Stanford.
How about the numbers so far in this match? Oregon hitting .455, Stanford hitting .545.
Those are blistering numbers offensively, and we know both teams can score.
Off the serve by Pukas, the fight at the net, and a point for Oregon.
This ball is set a little bit tight to the net for Katie Baird. Katie Miner gets her feet there, and then look at Lewis just get all over that defensively on the block.
That one's going to go long, a service error for Pukas. That is number 2 for Oregon here in set number 1. Again, they want to be very aggressive on the serve, take some chances, not be soft with anything. Really, Matt Ulmer talked about it. They lost to Arizona State last Sunday here by way of a sweep. First time they were swept since 2021. They had a team meeting just to reset. I don't think he really liked where the mindset was. He says, we're not a soft team. We got to go hard and play hard. They're fighting here. That's going to be a 4th contact. McGee won't even bother, and a point for Stanford.
We talk about the composition of both teams being very similar. A lot of seniors and grad students on both teams. So these are mature athletes, and they just needed a reset on the Oregon side of the net.
Another one with the timing just off. Oregon digging in on defense, trying to stay in this point. That one's going to head out of play. Point for Stanford, and they're out to an 11-8 lead here in set 1.
Watch Stanford loading up the right side blocker. The middle has to respect the middle attacker, and that means she's late, Kara McGee, to get out and close that block on the pin.
Good run here for Miner. 3-0 run right now for Stanford. go to Morgan Lewis, who delivers a much-needed point for the Ducks.
Both teams are getting good seams in the block when they push it out to the antenna. Really hard. Both middles on both sides of the net are chasing.
Gabby Gonzalez back to serve. Minor. Dug out by the center Pukas. Murphy with the set. And the rip. Oregon says it was touch. No touch called. And I think Matt Ulmer is going to go to the challenge card for a second time here in set one.
It's such a trust issue. You want to make sure that you trust your team to tell him the truth so he does not lose that challenge. But Morgan Lewis very confident there was a touch on that.
All right, so let's take a look again.
Looked like the inside hand of Vicini, the middle blocker for Stanford, got a piece of that. Watch the fingers.
A lot of fingers in that frame right now to try to navigate through. I think you're seeing enough there. Now, Oregon was convinced of it. Ulmer wasted no time to grab the card. The players stating their case. That's previously.
That was the play before.
Yep. Yeah, that's the wrong play. That's earlier, so they're going to rack back the play that we're looking at right now. So Ulmer taking the time to talk it over with this team. Both these teams very similar last year. Matt Ulmer's team was in Louisville. They had match point against the Cardinals with a chance to go to Omaha. Among the Final Four teams, and Louisville battled back to win in 5, and Stanford playing on their home floor. Here's that look again. I don't know.
I don't see it. Vicini's
I don't see enough.
fingers are taped up and you don't see much movement there.
So they're taking a long look at this here. And Stanford last year playing at home lost to San Diego. That run to the national semifinal. Both teams really building towards taking that next step, getting to Tampa and being among the Final Four.
And that's been the focus all season long for both groups.
Well, Kevin Ambly having a good chuckle about everything. They've been in Oregon for a few days. They were up in Corvallis. They stayed in Corvallis because it's been very busy here in Eugene. Homecoming, football team playing Washington State, winning against Washington State, Parents Weekend as well. So wasn't much room at the inn here for Stanford, so they decided to stay at Corvallis through last night, and they'll be able to head home here tonight. Now Ambly is wondering what's taking so long. So we can just revisit where we are right now with still a lot of volleyball to be played in the regular season in the Pac-12, but Stanford, Washington State, Arizona State, Colorado knocking off Arizona State earlier today.
And Arizona State last Sunday beat this Oregon team.
Other losses for Oregon this year: 5 sets to Minnesota, 4 sets to Washington State. That accounts for their 2 losses in the Pac-12. And really, Oregon's never won a Pac-12 championship, so you talk about all the attention being put on, well, let's play our best in late November and December in the NCAA tournament. But we all know what the future holds for Oregon and for Stanford when it comes to this conference. And Oregon would love to win a Pac-12 title after coming up short.
Of course they would. Of course they would. And this is
that's what makes tonight so important when you take a look at those standings.
The veteran group wants it back, and call goes in Stanford's favor.
So Oregon down to 1 challenge. Again, if we get to a 5th set, they will pick up a challenge. But now with challenge cards being pulled so early in this match, now you've got to be a little cautious when you pull a challenge card between now and if we get there set 4. Out of the long review, sometimes it happens with timeouts, you ice the server. Long video reviews can ice the server as well.
They can. They can. One of the benefits of a challenge.
Here is Murphy ready to serve. Another attack from Rubin. She's got her 3rd kill tonight.
We talked about the pins for Stanford. They are dangerous. We haven't seen much offense out of the middle for Stanford at all.
Ogilvy back to serve for the Cardinal. And a kill.
Morgan Lewis, the right side player, number 11 in black, has been so good this year. Had a breakout performance at the end of last season in the NCAA tournament. But
Sure
finding
did.
that gap and dropping it right in the middle of the court.
All regional team. That really was the springboard for her to this season after her performance against Nebraska and then again against Louisville. That one goes long at Oregon. Back within one. McClellan back to serve for the Ducks. 17 aces for McClellan this season. Off hands, Murphy lays out to keep it alive. Murphy was there, didn't get to it though. Back row attack, Gonzalez caught the net, and a point for Stanford.
Watch Mimi Collier. Well, first of all, Georgia Murphy picks that ball up off the block, and then in transition, Stanford able to score with their defense.
Back set to Gonzalez, and a point for Oregon.
Colby Neal has really worked on her offense, especially that 1-foot takeoff behind the setter.
Yeah, correction, Neal on the kill. Collier back to serve. Stanford up by 1. That one off hands, and Stanford is the first to 15 here at set number 1 in Eugene. Top 10 showdown on a Sunday night at Matthew Knight Arena. Stanford by 2, set 1. Elia Rubin had an outstanding freshman season, and she's had a very good sophomore year.
Already 4 kills on 8 swings, hitting .375. We talk about Katie Baird and Kendall Kipp, but Elia Rubin is a big factor in the Stanford offense.
Rubin up to 3.5 kills a set this season, hitting at .279, and you see what she's done here tonight, leading Stanford with those 4 kills. 10 kills so far in set 1 for Stanford, on top 15-13 out of the media timeout. And a good serve out of the timeout, a lot on it, and an ace the first of the match as Rubin adds to her highlight reel here in set 1.
Elia Rubin puts so much pace down that line. You see that ball take a left turn away from the Oregon passer.
19 aces now for Rubin on the season. Another one, a little mustard on it, and the block at the net, and Stanford back-to-back points out of the timeout.
This is a rotation for Oregon where the setter's front row, only 2 hitters available. So Stanford's outside hitter, Katie Baird, comes in to help on that block. 2 blockers to slow down Colby Neal. So if you're the setter, you want to go the other way and push it outside.
Goes in the books as the first team block of the match for Stanford in a timeout called by Oregon. First of 2 timeouts that they have available to them here in set number 1. Stanford with their largest lead, another 3-0 run right now for the Cardinal. We talked about their trip here to Oregon. They knocked off Oregon State on Friday to stay perfect all-time against Oregon State. 74-0 all-time against the Beavers, stretching their road winning streak to 10 matches. And they have played some tough teams during that winning streak. They always play a tough schedule, and you can see their resume, season recap, 16-2. 7 wins against top 25 teams so far in non-conference. Now you're playing a conference team in the top 10.
Well, to their benefit, they're on the quarter system, so they don't start school till the end of September, which allows them to have that challenging non-conference schedule. And they were on the road a lot, challenging themselves, working on that good RPI because they want to host that NCAA tournament regional at their place.
Which they did last year. Oregon hosted opening 2 matches here, knocking off Arkansas to go to Louisville. And as we mentioned before, coming up just short of their bid to make it to Omaha. Oregon also on the quarter system, so they play a very challenging schedule. We've seen that again for them this season. All right, out of the Oregon timeout. Stanford trying to keep the run going. Rubin will serve again. That one floats long, and a point for Oregon out of the timeout.
Elliott Rubin putting so much pace on her serve, and like I said, that's part of the Stanford identity. She's added a lot more pace this season.
Thibault will come on to serve for the Ducks. Set back for Francis. Chance here for the Ducks, trying to cut into the deficit. On the slide, Stanford keeps it alive and then just got caught in the middle of nowhere, and a point for the Ducks.
Well, Cami Minor, the setter for Stanford, was kind of caught in no man's land because usually the setter takes that second ball, but it was too far away.
Thibault had a couple of aces against Cal in the Oregon win here on Friday nights. Pukas for Gonzalez. Minor gets there, another rip by Katie Baird off the block, and a point for Stanford.
One of the things that makes Stanford go is Cami Minor. She is so athletic, and even though that pass was way off the net, she's able to push that ball back in system to Katie Baird.
Teams have cooled off a little from their hot start. Gonzalez dug out. Stanford's got a chance. Good defense by Oregon. Pukas will try Gonzalez again. Off the hands, point for the Ducks.
Gabby Gonzalez, the outside hitter, number 8 in black, likes it really fast and really low, which means the Stanford middle blocker is always chasing. But if you're that hitter, you've got to get your arm up quick, which Gabby Gonzalez has been able to do, scoring off the block.
Gonzalez averaging almost 3 kills a set this season. Pukas, the lefty with the serve. Point for Stanford.
In transition, Morgan Lewis hitting that, trying to go for that deep corner, hitting it long.
Cami Minor will serve again for the Cardinal. We played at 25. We're in set 1. That one floats long. Service error number 4 for Stanford tonight. Gonzalez ready to serve. And that drops in, an ace for Gabby Gonzalez. That's number 15 on the season.
I love this serve. Gabby Gonzalez of Oregon is serving into traffic. McKenna Vicini is the middle blocker. She's trying to get out of the way, and that blocks the passers.
Gonzalez with the dig. Off the block. There's that Oregon defense. Kara McGee at the net. Timeout Stanford.
Kara McGee, the grad student from Baylor, now for the Oregon Ducks, anchor that defense right in the middle. Look how big that block is. Mimi Collier, Kara McGee for the big Oregon point.
McGee over 600 blocks in her career combined between her time here at Oregon and in the past with Baylor. She knows what to do, and this is a good run by Oregon, a 3-0 run to tie it at 19. Why are we tied right now?
Well, because of the defense. Oregon now out blocking Stanford, and they've been able to get some positive touches off their defense as well.
So you see Kara McGee, we talked about over 600 blocks, 614 and counting. That's 3rd on the active list in Division I, 4th when it comes to blocks per set for McGee, who was an honorable mention All-American last season and first team Big 12. Came off a good offensive match last time out against Cal. Season high 14 kills at 667.
Oregon's on a 6-2 run right now since Ulmer took that timeout.
So we've had some stop and go here in set 1. 3 challenges, a couple of lengthy replay reviews. Each team has used a timeout. And now it's Stanford trying to regroup, seeing what can happen out of this timeout. A reminder, while they return to the court, we return to the Monday Night Football booth with Joe and Troy tomorrow night. They'll be in Minnesota. Brock Purdy and the Niners looking to bounce back after a loss. Monday Night Football, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. ABC, ESPN, ESPN Deportes. Peyton and Eli will be on ESPN2. Gonzalez trying to keep this run going for the Ducks. 3-0 run right now. Lewis drops it over. Good diving play by Minor to get there. Another job at the net. Well done by Oregon. And another block for the Ducks, and they're in front here in set one.
And that time, Morgan Lewis, the right side blocker for Oregon, was out there disciplined. Watch this ball, Cami Minor pushing it. Morgan Lewis out there all by herself, reaches in and takes that angle away from Kendall Kipp of Stanford.
Stanford looked like they were getting a pretty firm grip on this first set. They were up 19-16, but the Ducks have answered back. Can't get that dig right there, though. And Stanford ends the run. It was a 4-0 run by Oregon to put them on top by 1. Now we're tied at 20. Katie Baird back to serve for the Cardinal. Overpass, chance here for Oregon to go back in front. Pukas works the middle again. Point for the Ducks.
Even in transition, Oregon pushing that middle. Gabby Gonzalez out of the back row. Baird digs that ball over, and then Oregon's Kara McGee out of the middle. Pukas has so much confidence in that center to middle blocker attack.
Murphy delivers the serve. Good one. Pukas works it back again for Lewis. Kipp off hands, point Stanford.
It takes 2 swings from Kendall Kipp to score. Oregon's getting lots of positive block touches. They may not be blocking it, but Stanford gets it back, and then that one battles through Mimi Collier.
Ogilvy to serve for Stanford, tied at 21. Pukas again back to Lewis. Lewis delivers.
And there's the corner. Morgan Lewis is really confident attacking. She's missed a couple long, but this is a really important offensive part of Oregon's game. Morgan Lewis opening things up on that right side offensively.
Each team with 13 kills here in set 1. Lewis, 3 of those 13 for the Ducks. And a service error. Point Stanford.
Oregon's in a rotation right now with Hannah Pukas. She's a left-handed setter, so she can attack that second ball if she wants. And then Gabby Gonzalez available out of the back row.
They go to Collier. Off the block. Great job by Stanford defensively to get the point to go in front.
And such a quick transition attack for Stanford that Oregon can't catch up with it on the block defensively.
Oregon will use their final timeout here of set 1. Stanford 2 points away from taking the first set.
And last time Oregon took a timeout, they had a great response going up to 6-2 run. Offensively, we've seen the numbers cool down significantly. Stanford and Oregon were well above 400 now. Stanford at 279 and Oregon at 250.
On the season, Oregon hitting 278, Stanford 318, which is second in Division I. That's how elite the Stanford offense has been. Kevin Hamley told you before the match, it's the elevation of their defense that's been a difference this year. He used the word medium. They were okay defensively last year, but it cost them in that San Diego match. And that ended their season. He thinks they're much better defensively this season, and as a result, just a much better team.
And this season, they've been focused on, one, their backcourt defense and their blocking, as well as their serve receive, and he feels like they're much better in those categories.
So out of the Oregon timeout. Stanford set the serve with Kendall Kipp. Kipp at the service line right now after another fantastic performance in her last match. Team high 15 kills, no attack errors at 500. Also had 6 blocks right now, trying to do it with the serve. They go to the back row. Good swing, set point, Stanford.
Wow, Elia Rubin. Watch her get her feet inside to this ball. This is an out-of-system play, although Ogilvy, the libero for Stanford, is a fantastic second contact setter.
Back-to-back kills for Rubin as Stanford at set point. Collier says not so fast.
When we talked to Matt Ulmer today, he talked about Mimi Collier. She's a very strong hitter. She was the National Freshman of the Year. But he said this spring we worked on everything else but her hitting. So the rest of her game has really come up, and she's had a bigger impact overall for the Oregon Ducks.
Set point number 2, a service error, and Stanford takes the set 25-23. Good pushback by Oregon. They were up 22-21 on that Lewis kill. Got the crowd going here at Matthew Knight Arena, but then Stanford pulled it out down the stretch. They take set 1 of the best of 5, 25-23. Well, the Cardinal Trophy case has quite the history. 11 National Players of the Year. Holly could kind of rattle them out in alphabetical order, probably 23 conference titles. They have been a fixture in the NCAA tournament, and they've won their share. 9 national championships, most recently in 2018 and 2019.
They're an impressive program for sure, and they want to get that 10th title. That is their mission this season after having a disappointing finish last year.
Mission accomplished in set number 1 for Stanford here, playing on the road in front of a great crowd here on a Sunday night. Matthew Knight Arena, 25-23 again. After the Lewis kill, it was 22-21 Oregon, but then a 4-1 burst to close out the set.
And that was the difference. Stanford finishing strong late in the set.
Best of 5, set 1 goes to the Cardinal. The team switch ends, and we're ready for set number 2. Here at the home of the Ducks. Anxious to see what the attendance is here tonight, because game after game, Holly, that we've been broadcasting this year, we've talked about another record-setting night in an arena. They set the record here in September against Oregon State, a new record over 7,300, 7,334. I don't know if we'll get there tonight, but it is a great crowd on a Sunday night as homecoming winds down here in Eugene.
It's a growing trend across the country.
Is.
More eyes on this incredible sport.
I mean, we even saw it last night, that awesome matchup 1 versus 2, as Nebraska set another record, this time at Devaney, in that 5-set victory over number 1 Wisconsin.
Yami Minor coming off an ace, going hard at Mimi Collier, and that one just got away from her.
Looks at Collier again. And Oregon will side out.
Oregon getting that ball to Kara McGee, and you want to. She's hitting over 400 on the season. She's got a cannon for an arm.
Murphy back to serve. Minor back for Baird. They work it to the middle again, and Neal's got the kill.
That time, Colby Neal stays in front of the setter, able to score because Vicini, the Stanford blocker, late to press over.
McGee with 6 kills, Neal with 3. That's 9 kills from the middles for Oregon, of their 16. Oregon ready twice for the Stanford attack. Battle at the net, flip back, and
I disagree with that call. I think Colby Neal was passive with her hands.
what is the call right now, Holly?
She's not allowed to block the setter trying to set the ball, but Colby Neal was passive with her hand. She did not go over and stop the setter.
So now our R1 and R2 are going to talk about it here because
Matt Ulmer had the same argument.
take us through what they're looking at right here, Holly. They are going to change the call.
This ball comes tight to the net, and if you see the hands of Colby Neal, she's not grabbing it and throwing it down and taking that set opportunity away. The ball actually crossed the plane of the net as well.
So the officials talked it over. Kevin Hamley wants more of an explanation right now, and he disagrees with the call being changed, as you can tell. I'm a body language expert, if you didn't know. I see the wagging finger, right?
It's pretty obvious.
Murphy again. That one drops in, a kill for Kip.
Oregon testing the very confident libero of Stanford. Ogilvy pulls this pass off a little bit. Watch Miner just push Stanford right back in the system. Kendall Kip going over the top.
Katie Baird grabs the tape on the serve. Pukas back to Lewis. Ogilvy picked it off the net nicely. Lewis away from the net, and she'll get the point. Out of play off of Stanford.
We talk about the similarities between both teams. Both setters, when they're playing right back, clean up that whole middle ball that drops against a lot of teams. Both of them are very active picking up that middle ball.
Miner for Stanford, Pukas for Oregon. Baird with the dig. And that's off the hands of McClellan. Point Stanford.
Elia Rubin, cross-body swing down that line in transition. Cami Miner's got her track shoes on. She is running balls down in transition. Look at her get all the way over there.
If you're going to be in Tracktown, USA, you better bring your track shoes.
And she
to
did.
The match. Another one grabs the tape. Blocked out of play by Stanford. Oh, they say point for Stanford.
Elia Rubin way over the net on that block. It went out of bounds, but not sure if they saw a touch off the Oregon player.
Anna Pukas comes over to get an explanation from the R1, and Matt Ulmer is going to grab the challenge card.
He's not happy about that one.
Well, again, there is risk here.
Elia Rubin gets all of this ball. It's whether or not it hit Neal on the way out of bounds. Let's watch number 7, see if the ball comes back. I think it comes back, maybe touches her shoulder, but it looked like on the first original play that I saw it, that it was out of bounds, no touch.
So they are looking right now at touch, no touch. And we mentioned it. Oregon down to 1 challenge, so if this challenge is unsuccessful, they will be out of challenges until the possible fifth set. The possible 5th set.
Yeah. And at the back and forth rate that we're going, we could see a 5th set.
Question is, too, are we going to have a definitive look at that play to see if there was enough to turn it over?
I like this angle here. It looks like it misses the left shoulder of Colby Neal, the attacker, number 7 in black. That's where I think they thought they saw the touch.
Yeah, obviously gets a little blurry as we blow it up, but again, I didn't see anything in real time, and it's a successful challenge for the Ducks. (5-3) Oregon, down a set. As Collier ready to serve, they're still sorting things out at the scores table right now. That one drops in for an ace for Collier.
How about Mimi Collier getting to the back line after that delay because of the challenge in bringing the heat right off the bat. She's going right at Katie Baird's head, and that one drops in. Nice pace on that.
27 aces for Collier, team high in that category. That drops in, and Oregon's up by 4 here in set number 2.
Oregon, transition, and get your middles involved. Matt Ulmer talked to us about this. Hey, when you get your middles involved in the offense, they block better too. And look at Colby Neal, number 7, get ready in transition.
Defense been the story so far in set 2. Stanford hitting 125 against this Oregon defense. They'll side out here to pull within 3, and that ends the 3-0 run for the Ducks. Kendall Kipp heads back to serve. Murphy, tough one to handle, and it's an ace for Kipp.
Kendall Kipp leads this Stanford team in service aces, and you see it. She hits it flat. We call it a clean serve, flat and clean, and that means it's going to have a ton of movement and not a lot of time to react.
Deflection, set back for Rubin, point Stanford.
Elia Rubin, number 13 for Stanford, goes away from the right back defender to the short middle area of the court. That's a smart ball in transition because the defender is deep to dig her ball down the line.
Rubin with a match-high 8 kills. Now a service error for Stanford. That's their 5th. 4 service errors for Oregon.
I feel for Stanford, like Elia Rubin, Katie Baird, and Kendall Kipp, they take turns leading them offensively in kills.
Freshman Thibault back on to serve for Oregon. Minor, good quick attack, good offense, and a kill for Sammy Francis.
Kill by Sammy Francis, but Oregon trying to chase this ball. Net violation by Kara McGee. If you watch the middle blocker in black, she gets there and also touches the net.
Rubin ready to serve. Point for Oregon. They'll get Morgan Lewis back onto the floor as Pukas will head back to serve. That one from the lefty was like a slider that missed the line. So a service error for Oregon. Both teams with service errors here in this set. They've combined for 10 total in the match.
Both teams know that they need to get their opponent out of system, so they're going to put a little extra pace on it and direction.
Dug out by Collier. Bump set, and that is off the line, and a miss by Gonzalez. Point Stanford. We're tied at 9 here in set 2.
Gabby Gonzalez just trying to paint that line. Didn't have a lot of court to attack, but good aggressive swing.
This is a 6-2 run for the Cardinal. Good serve by Pringle. Minor called for it. Dropped in nicely by Baird. Another point for Stanford.
Katie Baird, number 22 for Stanford, has such nice hand contact on the ball. Matt Ulmer says she hits angles that you don't expect, and Mimi Collier, deep defensively, wasn't able to get under that.
6 kills now for Baird. 3-0 run for Stanford. Up a set as we play here in set 2. Well done, and dropped in by McGee. Point Oregon.
Kara McGee leading Oregon in scoring. She did on Friday night as well. She has 7 kills on 10 attempts, 0 errors, hitting .700.
Having a great weekend. She had those 14 kills that we mentioned before in the sweep of Cal. She came in this weekend averaging just under 2 kills a set, so getting a lot of offense from the middle blocker. Now service error again. That's been a big theme here. Again, both teams want to be aggressive with the serve and are aggressive with the serve.
Matt Ulmer talked about the focus for Oregon. If Kara McGee can put up those high numbers offensively, they have to get her the ball. So that has been the focus last couple weeks.
They serve Collier again. She handles it. And there's McGee. They get it to her again. 8 kills on 11 swings. No errors so far for McGee.
And because Kara McGee is so good one-on-one, Katie Baird, number 22, might come in and help in the future for Stanford to slow Kara McGee down.
13 of the 21 kills for Oregon have come from the middle blockers, McGee and Neal. Stanford with the answer with their middle, Piccini.
And that's important. Stanford needs to get their middles going a little bit more. I feel like Oregon knows the balls are going out to the pins and can cheat out defensively.
Katie Baird, good serve, ace for Baird.
All of Stanford's servers are putting extra pace, and it's really flat. That's a goal. Flat right at the passer, Mimi Collier, down that line.
Stanford right on their average right now. They average 2 aces per set. 4 so far as we play here in set 2. Still a lot of time to go in set 2. Back row attack. Stanford was ready for it. Murphy with the pancake to save it. Gonzalez with the dig. Pukas. Both teams, great defensive plays. Great point here in Eugene. It ends with Stanford getting the point.
I am loving the defense on both sides of the net. Lots of positive touches with the block. You see that block touch, and then Ogilvie able to push that up to Minor, and then Kip in transition, turning it down that line.
Remember, we talked earlier in this set, the numbers weren't great for Stanford, but those numbers have come up now, hitting .389 in this set, and Stanford drops in the ace. Collier watched it, but it dropped in for another Stanford point. Timeout.
Katie Baird is painting that line. She's been so aggressive from the service line. Watch her go line to line, tag it for 15-11 Stanford in the second set.
Reminder of what's at stake. Stanford has been on a run in the Pac-12. Their last conference loss was last September to Oregon. And for Oregon, it was their 3rd straight win in this series. Oregon's had success against Stanford, but right now, Stanford's taking control. What stands out to you, Holly, that put Stanford on top by 4 here on a 4-0 run?
Well, it's been back and forth, so it's just a matter of finishing at the end of that first set.
5-0 run. Point Stanford.
I also think the big difference has been the Stanford service pressure. 5 aces already, and we're just through 2 sets.
Free ball here for the Cardinal. Oregon there with the answer. Murphy will set it. Collier says it was touched. Matt Ulmer's upset because he's got to go to the challenge card again.
I saw a touch.
He thought it was pretty clear. That's the thing that's got Ulmer so frustrated, is why do I need to pull this card out when everybody in the building could see it? So you can see touch, no touch. Holly McPeak says there's a touch.
I saw it. I thought it touched Vicini originally.
Hands are pretty high right there.
That's where I think it got the left hand of Vicini. That's a pretty fierce block from Stanford. Lots of pressure on Mimi Collier.
Yeah, you can see that left hand. That's what you're looking for. Any sort of shake, any sort of bend back.
Exactly. I'll tell you, the middle blocker, Colby Neal, who's in there, has been getting so many positive defensive touches and helping her team transition for kills. That setup here, Mimi Collier definitely getting that left hand to McKenny Vicini in number 14 for Stanford.
Well, you mentioned Colby Neal, just 16 sets played this season. Played a lot last year. Carson Bacon, of course, part of that middle blocker rotation. Maybe Bacon's not quite at 100%. She's played really well this year, and Matt Ulmer was hinting that maybe battling a little something. We haven't seen Bacon yet, so Neal has stepped up in her place here today. She's played well, and Ulmer thought she was coming on a little bit as of late and deserves some more time too.
Well, it's important to have a stable, especially middle blockers. They do a lot of work, and to have different kinds of matchups, and Colby Neal to be able to step in against one of the best teams in the country and make a difference defensively and offensively for Oregon.
Well, Matt Ulmer keeps pulling the challenge card, standing on some thin ice, but the ice a little thicker when you keep getting successful challenges here, and he's successful again. So reverse the point. It's a point for the Ducks, now down by 4 as McClellan is ready to serve. Gonzalez calls for it, has it. Off hands, Minor will set it back quickly. Pukas looked for the center kill. That's going to float out. Pukas watched it float out of play. Point, Oregon.
Oregon attacking in transition. They know they need to make some stops and be able to kill that ball.
Matt Ulmer pointing out exactly where he wants his libero, Georgia Murphy, to be, or maybe anticipating something to come here from Stanford. Minor got there, dropped back. Stanford was on their heels on that point from the start. Oregon fighting back here in set 2.
Cami Minor has been running all over the place, battling to keep Stanford in system. She went all the way out, and that ball was wide. Colby Neal defensively getting the stop for Oregon.
Service error will stop the momentum for the Ducks. Stanford back on top by 3. Lena Ogilvie, Pac-12 Libero of the Year a season ago. Pukas to Neal, does it again, point Oregon.
Fantastic pass, allowing Pukas to go fast behind her to Colby Neal off the outside hand of the blocker. Colby Neal having a big impact in this match.
Service error number 8 for the Ducks. Kendall kick to serve. Neal looking for another point. Good diving play by Ogilvie to get there. Pukas goes to Gonzalez. Net violation on Stanford. Point Oregon.
Missed opportunity for Stanford after dig to not get a swing out of that, and Oregon attacks back so fast to Gabby Gonzalez on that left pin.
The freshman D-ball on the serve, big spot here. Remember, Stanford's largest lead was 5 in this set. They were on top 16-11. Oregon has closed it to 2. Great swing from Kendall Kipp for the kill. That's her 6th.
Kendall Kipp has so much range, high contact point on the left side of your screen. Watch her get her feet there, high contact point, and redirecting the ball away from that line defender.
She's got all the shots, as you mentioned before. Pukas looked for the setter kill, couldn't get it. There's Gonzalez who gets the point. Well, the middles have scored a ton here, but getting some offense from Gonzalez and Collier and Lewis is going to be important here down the stretch for Oregon if they're going to extend this match beyond 3.
Balance is really important for the Oregon Ducks.
Pukas with the serve. Pukas sets it back. There's Lewis. There's the Stanford D. Try it again from Kipp. Pukas dug it out. Minor with the kill. The setter got to be ready for her.
Cami Minor likes to be aggressive when she's in the front row, and it's usually on a perfect pass. This ball pops up. Katie Baird puts it right in her setter's hands. Blocker cheats out to defend Sammy Francis. That opens up the net for Cami Minor of Stanford.
That's 48 total kills for Minor, the setter this season. Lewis. And Stanford can't save it. Point Ducks.
Oregon able to rattle that through the Stanford block, but it's because of their defense, keeping them in the rally, allowing those types of attack opportunities. Offensively, Oregon in this set hitting .355.
Ducks are hitting .308 for the match. Yet they're down a set and they're down 2 points here in set 2. Gonzalez. Back row attack. Here comes Kendall Kipp.
Just wow. I mean, Kendall Kipp out of the back row. Katie Baird delivers the perfect pass, and Minor puts Kendall Kipp in the spot right behind that 3-meter line to crush that ball. Beautiful.
7th kill for Kipp. Pukas to Collier. Dug out by Gonzalez. Collier comes through for Oregon.
And that's the speed of the Oregon offense. They push that ball so fast to the pin that Kendall Kipp, the right side blocker, can't get over in time to defend Mimi Collier.
(21-19). Murphy serves. Kipp again. Collier blocked out of play. Point Oregon.
Oregon's defense making a big push.
Timeout called by Stanford.
You talk about numbers right now for Stanford. They're hitting .257. Oregon's defense has really helped their offense, and now they're hitting .382.
This set, 324 for the match against the team that's been holding opponents in Stanford to 187 hitting. You talked about it from the very start. Getting the middles involved was going to be a key for Oregon. And between Colby Neal and Kara McGee, those two middles have combined for 14 kills.
And they lead Oregon offensively. Kara McGee, 8 kills off 12 swings, 0 errors. And then Colby Neal, 6 kills on 10 swings, hitting .500. Oregon doing what they set out to do. Love those numbers. Offense running through the middle attackers. And the key is that they need to contact that first ball, dig it with control, or pass well enough to run the middles.
So the timeout called by Stanford, leading by 1. Gives me a chance to remind you that Tuesday night, all 32 NHL teams will be on the ice. We'll have a triple header on ESPN. Caps, Leafs get it started at 6 Eastern, then the Bruins and the Blackhawks, then Vegas taking on the Flyers. Plus, we'll have Frozen Frenzy whip-around coverage of every game, 8 Eastern on ESPN2. Coverage all starts with the point at 5 Eastern time. 1 point, the advantage for Stanford here in set number 2. Murphy. Chance here for Oregon to tie it up. Pukas looks for Collier. We're tied at 21.
Defense turning into offense, and Oregon is doing it at a really high level. Transition offense, and Collier getting that deep corner swing for the Oregon kill.
Georgia Murphy again, 3-0 run right now. They go to Kip again. Great job by Oregon to stay in this point for the moment. But now they end the point to the Cardinal. They go up 22-21.
Oregon extending the rally, but Kip getting another opportunity, that time on the right pin, working off the outside hand of the blocker.
8 kills now for Kendall Kip. Here's Katie Bear. Collier. Kip goes off speed. The block goes out of play, point Stanford.
I talked about it earlier, but Hannah Puke is picking up that tip in the middle to keep Oregon alive. Love the middle, the right back defenders, the setters. Look at this, all the way from right back comes to the middle court to pick that up, but left hand off by Elia Rubin for the kill.
Oh, Stanford was pushed here by Oregon as Collier tied it at 21, but you get a kill from Kip to put Stanford up 22-21, a kill from Rubin to put them up by 2, forcing an Oregon timeout right now, and it's Rubin and Kip. Those two are combining 17 of the 28 kills so far tonight for Stanford.
Yeah, we talked about it at the end of the first set. It was a 4-1 run by Stanford. And again, making that push when you're at that 20-point mark is really important to finishing the set.
We saw that in set 1. Remember, Oregon went in front 22-21, but then Stanford finished the set, got the win. Now they're trying to repeat here. Up by 2 here in set number 2. A reminder, tomorrow night, Monday Night Football, it's Minnesota and San Francisco. The Niners now 5-1 after their first loss. You'll see it tomorrow night, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC, ESPN, and ESPN Deportes. Peyton and Eli will be doing their thing over on ESPN2. The Duck in attendance here. Had to do quite a few push-ups yesterday in the Washington State victory for Oregon over at Autzen. And just kind of like a cool down day. Being cool in the stands.
Yeah, you can say that. Fan favorite.
Paparazzi in force right now. Let's see how Oregon responds out of the timeout. Katie Baird. That one jumped up on Gonzalez. Lewis missed the mark. Set point for Stanford.
The linesman called it in, but the F referee saw it out.
point number 1. Colby Neal keeps Oregon in it.
Middle's continuing to score for Oregon, but now they need stops.
And they need a good serve from McClellan. They get it. Set point number 2. Off hands. Pukas. The block ends it. Stanford showing their defense. Ficini and Kip at the net. And Stanford's up 2-0.
We talked about the importance of stops, and at the end of the set, look at Kendall Kip, way over for Stanford for that 25th important point.
So they took set number 1, 25-23. They take set 2, 25-22. Oregon has battled back. They have been in it, but down the stretch, it's just been Stanford coming up with the winning points. And we will head to set 3. But before we go to set 3, we're going to have a conversation with Oregon head coach Matt Ulmer. Matt, you've been knocking on the door. What's it going to take to push that door down here against the top 3 team?
I really like a lot of the things we're doing. I think we're playing well. Again, couple errors at the end there, but I like our attack mentalities. You know, it's what we've been talking about. Again, I like our service errors. You know, if we can get some of those in and keep that pressure on them, you know, then that's the difference of that game. So serve and pass, what we talked about, they got a couple points off their serve. We've given up a couple too many on our serve. And again, it's a real tight set, both of them. And but we're doing the things we need to do to be successful.
And that's the key. You guys have been right there at 21 apiece late in the set. How do you finish?
Keep going, right? And again, for us, it's not about just today. It's about how we're going to act the rest of the season, right? And so for us, we need to be aggressive. At the end of the first set, I thought we were too timid with our serve. We gave them a couple free balls, and we tipped the ball right at the end of that. And I said, that's never going to happen again the rest of the way, right? We're going to dictate things on our terms, and we're going to stay aggressive. And that's how we're going to learn how to do it correctly, aggressively. But in those moments at the end, we got to continue to go for it.
All right, Matt, thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, y'all. Go Ducks.
Matt Ulmer, the Oregon head coach, his team hitting 297 for the match, but they are down 2-0 to the third-ranked Cardinals. Set 3 coming up when we come back. Stanford on top 2-0, and Kendall Kip doing Kendall Kip things in the first 2 sets.
Well, we knew it was going to come down to Kendall Kip and scoring 8 kills, hitting 304, 1 block, 4 digs, having a huge effect on this match. And boy, is she dangerous out of the back row.
Joined now by Stanford head coach Kevin Hambley. Kevin, you talk about championship mentality. You went on a 4-1 run to close out set 1 and again in set 2. You must have liked what you saw.
Yeah, I mean, we gave up some points here and there, and it's going to be, I think it'll be back and forth the whole match, obviously. And I thought, you know, at the end we were poised and we were steady, and that's what we need to do to win big matches and big moments. Like this will be. We got a long ways to go, and they're going to come out fighting, and so we'll see, you know, if we can continue to have that kind of poise.
Oregon's middle attackers are hot. Can you make any adjustments to slow them down?
I think Oregon's done a nice job of passing. And so they're going to get to those quicks. We made a couple adjustments. We got in front of them and we deflected a few of those. But they're good, you know. I think they're good middles that can hit with range. If we're not getting them off the net, they're going to score. We've got to make sure we're stopping the pins when we get our chance to stop the pins.
Good discipline not to join in with shout here, Kevin. I know you've been tempted a little bit.
It's hard to hear you guys with that going on. So,
thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Guys. All right, bye.
I mean, everybody in the arena is doing it, but when you're wearing the Cardinal colors, you just got to keep your arms down and you're not going to do shout, even though it's a tradition in this building. You can see the match summary. Stanford on top 2-0. You can see the errors, and Matt Ulmer, you just love, you can sense the positive tone because they're doing things, even though they're down 2-0. He wants them to attack. Don't be afraid to make mistakes and come up with winning plays at the end.
Here's his quote from today. We can't get chippy or tippy versus Stanford if we want to win this match. Offensively, Oregon's numbers are actually better than Stanford's. They've just been able to finish better at the end of the sets.
So the crowd's into it. A reminder what's at stake. Stanford trying to stretch their conference winning streak to 28 straight. Their last loss September 25th of last year to Oregon. Oregon's won the last 3 in this series, and that's when Kevin Hambly talks about Oregon coming back and not being done, because he's seen it up close and personal in the most recent meetings against the Ducks. Set 3 is underway. Gonzalez trying to find a spot. And a net violation called on Oregon, point Stanford.
This is a strong defensive front row for Stanford. Oregon's got 3 hitters in the front row, Lewis and Gonzalez on the pins.
Collier from the back row. Oregon resets. They go to the middle again. Kara McGee now with 9 kills. That's 23 in the 2 games this weekend for McGee.
There is no stopping her, and I felt like there was a blocker trying to help Vicini in the middle.
Minor to Kip. Point Stanford.
And they're loading up the right side blocker for Oregon, running a gap set and one all the way out to the pin, which makes that middle blocker late to close, and Kip's going to score every time, 1-on-1.
Tight one at the net, the overpass. Stanford makes Oregon pay.
Stanford's had tons of success with Katie Baird on the line. Strong serves line to line to Mimi Collier. They're trying to put a lot on her plate, make her pass, and then work to get out and attack the ball.
Kip, the first one in this match to double-digit kills with 10. That one floats long. Service error, Stanford, point Oregon. Georgia Murphy ready to serve for Oregon. Back-to-back points for the Ducks.
Katie Baird has been passing the ball extremely well. Cami Minor trying to get her middles involved, but Cheney just misses it wide. She likes to go cross-body.
Murphy again tied at 3. Oh, good recovery by Oregon to stick with it. Still in the point. Oh, Pukas, a little miscommunication. Kind of a point that was off the rails a little bit, but sometimes that makes all the difference in a match. You steal a point when you didn't think you're going to get it, and Oregon's on top.
Couple different wows in that play. Watch that ball, just a quick pinball dig to stay in the rally, and then Gabby Gonzalez pushes this ball up to the net. Look at Mimi Collier get her feet there and hit an impossible angle for Oregon.
Kill on the other end for Rubin to tie it up at 4.
And a quick answer, Elia Rubin just continuously being relentless, attacking the seam.
Ogilvy for Stanford. Go to the middle again, but Stanford's ready for it this time.
And Stanford made a defensive adjustment. They had their outside blockers move in and slow down the middle and help. That was a triple block versus Colby Neal, and Hannah Pukas, the setter for Oregon, needs to pay attention to that. If they scoot in, you want to push the ball out.
Collier dug out by Ogilvy. Kip hammers it home. Kill number 11 for Kendall Kip.
The libero for Stanford makes it look easy, and the quality of her digs puts Stanford in positions to attack back.
And there's Elena Ogilvy, who's back to serve again. Excellent on the serve. As Holly mentioned, very good defensively. Oregon gets the point. Good night for Colby Neal here tonight. 8 kills, just behind McGee's team lead with 9. Here's McClellan. Stanford tries to work it to the middle. McClellan, Pukas get tangled up. They're both back on their feet. They recover, and in time at the net, Oregon there defensively. Collier, along with Neal.
How about the defensive effort by Oregon? Daly McClellan trying to get out of the way of Hannah Pukas, who's the blocker in the front row, who is not able to get back, but Stanford going to Kendall Kipp. And Mimi Collier gets all of that for Oregon.
5th block for Oregon tonight. Collier, that caught hands. Point for the Ducks.
What a heads-up play by Mimi Collier. Knowing that Kendall Kipp is big, she just wipes it right off the hands, out of bounds.
Collier, you wouldn't know she's a sophomore with some of the things she does. We saw it last year, that All-American season, National Freshman of the Year. That's minor, that's trouble, and Oregon's building a little momentum perhaps here in set number 3.
How about Daly McClellan putting some extra heat on that serve? That one gets away from Baird, and Minor can't chase it down.
An ace, number 3 for the Ducks. Collier. The block. Oregon's defense standing tall here, but no stopping that one.
And then Elia Rubin blasting, making sure to take care of that ball in transition for Stanford.
Rubin with 11 kills, hitting at .346 tonight. Also with 4 digs and a block. Rubin, the sophomore, Collier, the sophomore, 2 of the very best young players in the nation, going head-to-head here tonight. There is Collier off hands, and another kill for Mimi Collier. She's starting to pile up the numbers. Double digits now for Collier.
I told you Stanford wants to load up Mimi Collier. That time she does not have to pass, but working on that left side, going high and flat off the hands.
Collier had success against Stanford last year, and she's having success this year. In that win last year, as a freshman, she had 15 kills, hit .281, and she is locked in right now.
Lots of pace and going at that corner where Elia Rubin is that left back passer for Stanford.
Serving at Rubin again. All Rubin can do is bump it over. Pukas. Neal was denied. Gonzalez off the block. Point Oregon, up by 4.
Stanford made the adjustment. 2 blockers on the middles for Oregon. Timeout for Stanford. Oregon now up in this 3rd set, 11-7.
Welcome back to the Pac-12 on ESPN. Sunday evening in Eugene. The Duck throwing the O outside the Matthew Knight Arena. 11-7 Oregon, forcing Stanford to take a timeout here in set number 3. Maybe Collier on a roll right now.
In Oregon on a 7-1 run right now.
Stanford taking the timeout, seeing if they can ice Collier. Mission accomplished as she sails one long, and Stanford gets the point. Mimi's had some good expressions here today. We'll let you know what's going on. Gonzalez, good attack there from Oregon. Matt Ulmer told us after the 2nd set he really liked what his team was doing. He loved the aggressive mindset. We are seeing that here in set 3.
Daly McClellan, perfect pass, and that allows Hannah Pukas to push it fast to Gabby Gonzalez, who has all sorts of seam between the 2 blockers. from Stanford to kill that ball.
Service error for Thibault and side out for Stanford. Anna Pringle will come on to serve for the Cardinal. Sophomore from La Jolla puts it into play with Stanford trailing by 3. Up 2-0. Oh, there's Stanford with their defense at the net for the point.
Stanford identifying that Hannah Pukas, the setter for Oregon, is in the front row. So Oregon looking to use that back row attack. Katie Baird and McKenna Vicini all over that D ball.
4 blocks now for Stanford. On the slide, Pringle had it for the moment. The kill for McGee, point Oregon.
If you're Oregon, keep going to what works. That's Kara McGee's 10th kill. Her offensive numbers are almost 700, and Vicini just late to close that block. It's hard to chase middles. Those are high percentage and quick sets.
Back row attack for the Cardinal. Point Stanford.
Cami Miner is very good at running that big set, that back row quick where the hitter has to take off behind that 3-meter line, and Kendall Kipp is excellent at terminating.
That's just such a great athletic play to watch. We've seen it from Kipp a couple of times today. Now the defense at the net by Kipp. I know you had a chance to see Texas Wednesday. I saw them last Sunday. Madison Skinner, her back row flying through the air attack has been impressive. We've seen it from Kipp here tonight as well.
2 of the best in the country.
Cami Miner. There's Mimi Collier trying to join the back row conversation. Stanford's there defensively. Point Oregon, Morgan Lewis.
Love the defense. We talked about it, both sides of the net, knowing how important stops are. Mimi Collier dug by Cami Miner, and then Mimi Collier returns the favor. Morgan Lewis scoring through the block of Stanford for the Oregon point.
A hard-fought conference battle. Whenever players hit the floor, there's going to be a need to mop up that floor. Gonzalez set the serve for Oregon. Stanford took set 1 25-23. They won set 2 25-22. Gonzalez goes short for the ace.
Every time Oregon serves that ball into that disruptive area where the middle blockers front row kind of into traffic, she attempts to pass it, and for Stanford, you want to push her out of the way so a back row player can step up and pass. Tries
it again. This one grabs the net. Service error number 11 for the Ducks.
The Stanford pin blockers have been bunch block. That means scooting into the middle to help slow down the dangerous attackers out of the middle for Oregon.
Katie Baird with a service error. Point for the Ducks. Stanford 10-0 on the road this season. They've won 18 in a row overall on the road. They've been outstanding. Overpass, Murphy's got it. Pukas. Out of play, point Oregon. Mimi Collier, another point.
Both head coaches for their respective teams talking to their teams about how to scheme and stop their opponents. Mimi Collier in transition, again, tooling that block.
So the challenge card has been shown here by Kevin Hambley.
Good time for Kevin Hambley. One, if he doesn't believe the call, but also to slow things down for his team.
See what they could be looking at here. See anybody going over the line? Thought I saw an indication that they were reviewing to see for in or out. That didn't seem to be close, so there's got to be something else there that Hambley's asking for. But this is a very quick review, though.
I believe it was the first attack when the attack was out of the middle.
Challenge is unsuccessful, so Stanford with 1 challenge remaining, Oregon with 1 challenge remaining.
But Hambley was able to bring his team together and talk about what they need to do.
17-13 Oregon. Here's Murphy. Minor goes the long way. Good diving play by Pukas to save it. Minor returns the favor for Stanford. Gonzalez calls for it. And violation, double contact, point Stanford.
Both teams attacking the other team's setters, making them take that first ball. That means even though Hannah Pukas dug that ball, that somebody else has to step in and set. And then again, Hammy Minor on the other side of the net. And then this is just a mishandled ball by Oregon in transition on that second contact.
Ogilvy set to serve again for the Cardinal. Looked for the ace, missed the line. Point Oregon.
Stanford trying to attack down the line, and Mimi Collier missing that one wide.
McClellan set the serve for the Ducks. They need to win this set, keep this match going. Point Stanford. Now remember, Ulmer's got 1 challenge remaining. He is going to the card here.
The initial ruling was that ball was in. I saw it out, although it is on the other side of the court.
That was right in front of Ulmer. In or out here. That's out. That's what they're looking at.
Wow.
I don't think that's McClellan on the far left there. I don't think she made any contact with it either.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The ball was hit hard and fast, but it was definitely wide.
Doesn't look like there's any contact there, and that looks like it's off the mark. So this should be another successful challenge for Ulmer, but let's get the official call.
Both coaches getting words with their team, and every time they're up off the bench, they're talking to their team about defensive assignments and how to slow down the other team. And what we've seen from Stanford is they have been finishing sets really well.
I'm curious here. We can't see through the referee. I don't know. Are they having a little trouble pulling up the replay? Perhaps they've got it all fixed now. From our look, that would be the only thing that would stand in the way of this call being overturned, because our angle looked pretty clear. So they should point to Oregon's bench. Successful challenge again for Matt Ulmer.
Oregon right now on a 13-8 run since the tie at 6-6 in this third set.
Matt Ulmer's been playing the 1 challenge life for a long time now, and he keeps coming up
staying alive, right?
Roses. (1914). Off the hands, point Stanford.
Kendall Kipp blasting through the Oregon block for that one.
Well, here we are again. We're late in the set. Oregon with a 5-point lead. Remember, Stanford closed set 1 on a 4-1 run. They closed set 2 on a 4-1 run. Collier knows it's winning time. Time to keep the pressure on. Another kill. She's got 12.
We talk about stops, but if you get good touches, look at Gabby Gonzalez put that ball up for Pukas, and then Collier knows what to do with it, attacking deep cross court.
Collier back to serve. Good aggressive serve and an ace.
Mimi Collier is feeling it, and she's continually going hard at Elia Rubin in that cross court area.
Collier has been the best player on the court here in this third set, and as a result, Oregon's on top by 6, and Stanford uses their final timeout.
Mimi Collier on that left side, the National Freshman of the Year, making things happen for Oregon, especially in transition. Those are the toughest kinds of swings, and then a tough serve for the ace, putting all sorts of pressure on Stanford.
Collier now with those 12 kills to pace the Ducks. McGee with 10, Neal with 8, Kipp on the other end with the 13 kills for Stanford. So Stanford has used their final timeout. Mimi Collier, as we mentioned, National Freshman of the Year, Impact Player, Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. You had a feeling, though, she was going to be a pretty good athlete when you take a look at what her parents did at Long Beach State. Mom, Nicole Crump, outstanding volleyball player. Dad, Jeff, look at that action shot in polo getting it done. So yeah, Mimi.
Those are some good genes right there. Nikki
Yes.
Crump played at Long Beach State with Misty May. Very strong team. I believe they won a national championship together.
And Mimi's fan club here as well. Sophomore from Lincoln, California, trying to lead Oregon to a victory here in set number 2. A reminder, Tuesday night, every NHL team, all 32 will be on the ice. We'll have a triple header on ESPN. Caps and Leafs get it started. Bruins and Blackhawks follow, and it's closed by the Flyers and the Golden Knights. And we'll have Frozen Frenzy, whip around coverage of every game, 8 Eastern on ESPN2. And all the coverage starts with a point at 5 Eastern time on ESPN2. Collier trying to keep it going here for Oregon. 21-15. A Collier kill, a Collier ace. The last 2 points for the Ducks. Out of the timeout, almost a block for Neal, but a point for Stanford.
And Elia Rubin continuing to take big swings on the left. It's her 12th kill.
Rubin heads back to serve. Sophomore hitting a team best 345 on the night. For the match, Stanford at 275, Oregon over 300 against Stanford, 306. Gonzalez, Minor with the set. Minor comes to Francis this time, and it's out.
That time the middle blocker for Stanford stayed on that right pin, trying to go down that line just wide. Stanford has 2 hitters in the front row, so look for Kendall Kipp, number 10, coming for that pick down the middle from the back row.
Ogilvy on serve receive. Minor's got to go over with it. Pukas. And double contact called on Pukas, and a point for Stanford.
That ball was dug tight to the net, and Pukas tried to attack it. But it was an unclean set, double touch or 2 touch.
Pringle. Pukas tight to the net, Gonzalez. Blocked out of play. Point for McGee and Oregon.
Karen McGee is so confident right now, and she should be. She took that free ball with her hands and then drove behind the setter, attacking hard off the block of Katie Baird from Stanford.
Really critical, too. It's winning time right now. We saw the last two sets. Stanford pulled it out at the end. Right now, Oregon able to side out, able to keep the Cardinal at arm's length. Off the block, point for Stanford. Can Oregon side out again here with Minor serving? Pukas, back row attack, Collier, set point, Oregon.
Mimi Collier, a weapon from everywhere for Oregon. She's back row right now, so she has to take off behind that 3-meter line. Cross-body attacking between the two defenders from Stanford.
Gonzalez serves for the set. Stanford says not so fast. Point Cardinal.
And Cami Minor running her middle. McKenna Vicini, she led the Pac-12 in hitting percentage last year.
Set point number 2. Ace for Stanford.
Katie Baird putting all sorts of pressure on Mimi Collier down that line, and Oregon's going to call a timeout and stop Stanford's momentum.
What do you think of this timeout?
I like it a lot. You cannot let Stanford back into the set because they've dominated at the end of the first 2 sets.
Back-to-back points right now for Stanford. It's 24-20. We talked about at the very top of this telecast, you would not be surprised to see these two teams, if they continue on their current trajectory, to be on that short list of teams that may make it to Tampa and compete for a national championship. I mean, we've seen from coast to coast, night after night, great crowds, great performances. I mean, Nebraska, Wisconsin last night was a classic, a 5-setter, 1 versus 2. And it's been awesome all season long. And we're still in October.
It's so exciting. And Stanford's number 2 in RPI. We saw Wisconsin-Nebraska battle. Nebraska should take over that number 1 spot, but Stanford 2 in RPI, which puts them in a good position to host a regional, and that's their goal. And then Oregon sitting at number 9, trying to make a push. Obviously, they'd like to host as well. And there's lots of opportunities for 4 through 8 to fall. So Oregon wants to do well and slide into that position where they can host.
That's why I know it's only October. The stakes are so high in this match for Oregon, because if you knock off the RPI number 2 team and you want to go on that run and hope you can host in that regional round. Also, what's at stake for Oregon? Win out, you've got that Pac-12 championship. Still a long way to go. And a long way to go in this match. Set point number 3 on the overpass. Stanford a chance to build a little momentum here. Pukas from her knees kept it alive. And that one sails long. And Stanford not done yet here in set 3.
Defense is there, and Oregon trying to be aggressive. Matt Ulmer does not want them chipping or tipping, like I said earlier. So he wants them taking big swings to win this set.
Set point number 4. Collier. That one is off the mark. Does Oregon use another timeout here, or do they hold on to it?
The first contact is everything right now. They're going to shift Mimi Collier out of the serve rotation and pass with 2. Georgia Murphy and Gabby Gonzalez taking the whole court and serve receive.
Set point number 5. 4-0 run for Baird and Stanford. And a service error ends the set. It was getting a little tight in this building, but in the end, Oregon pulls it out, and it's now 2-1 Stanford heading to set 4.
And finally, Oregon able to finish a set. That was the difference. Now this match is 2-1. Oregon with some momentum on their side of the net.
Match summary, Stanford took set 1 and set 2. Oregon takes set 3, so we head to set 4. And it's been an aggressive mindset for Oregon. Mimi Collier just took over in that third set. 6 kills and an ace in set number 3 for the Ducks.
And most of those were in transition. Oregon made some adjustments when Mimi Collier was in serve receive right at the end to go to a 2-person serve receive. So let's watch that, because Stanford's definitely targeting Mimi Collier in the passing rotation.
Collier, 13 kills, 7 digs, 2 blocks, and 3 aces. We remind you that Stanford has not lost in the Pac-12 since losing to Oregon last September. Oregon has won the last 3 matches in this series. There was a 24-18 lead for Oregon there in that third set when Stanford rolled off 4 straight points before Oregon took the set on the service error. Stanford to serve to start set number 4. Cami Miner puts it into play for the Cardinal. And they go to the middle again. Kara McGee with her 12th kill of the night.
It takes a lot of trust between setter and middle blocker, because this is a high-risk play. It's a fast set by Hannah Pukas to a small location, but their connection is really strong.
Dug out by Gonzalez. Pukas looks to the middle again. Once again, it's Kara McGee in the middle.
Kara McGee, 17 in black, making herself available time after time, not just in serve receive, but also in transition, driving at her size at 6'3". She has a big offensive window and attacks that middle.
Tip hangs in the air to get it over. That one's going to be a little too high. Attack error for Oregon, point for Stanford.
Oregon has not been able to get Morgan Lewis in system. I'd love to see that set pushed out a little wider to her on the right side, so she's got range to go line or angle.
Lewis with 6 kills, but hitting at 053 here tonight. Pukas to Collier. Point Stanford.
Trouble from the start, and tonight in this particular rotation with Katie Baird on the line, Stanford has been able to score a lot of points.
Baird back on the line. Another good serve. She's got 3 aces tonight. Oregon turns it the other way though and gets the point.
And that ball passed low, but Puka's able to push that ball out to Mimi Collier, who's taken some big rips, even though they're a little bit out of system.
Collier up to 14 kills now for the Ducks. Murphy. Big rip from Rubin. She gets her 13th kill tonight.
Cami Miner pushing that ball all the way across the court. We call that the long string set instead of going right behind her to Kendall Kipp. So the block has to chase and move.
Ogilvie, good hard serve, battle at the net. Miner dives to save it. Rubin, no touch. They say
Kevin
hang on
Hambley.
1 second. Hambley sprinting for the
Yes,
challenge
he
guard
is.
now.
Earlier, Rubin in transition, trying to go off the inside hand of Morgan Lewis, the right side blocker for Oregon.
player all the way closest to the antenna, does it catch her left hand as it goes by? It looks like it does. Yeah, you can just see you can feel those fingers moving, and this is a very quick review, I'm happy to say, and the challenge is successful.
The quickest review of the night. I like those.
So again, each team with one challenge remaining. If we get to a 5th set, an additional challenge will be granted to each team. Quick attack, and there is Lewis in system with the kill.
And I like the location of that set from Tukas, getting it all the way out so Morgan Lewis can hit that ball with a little bit more range.
McClellan with a service error. That's number 12 for Oregon. Again, Matt Ulmer stressed he was okay with a high number of service errors because that meant his team was being aggressive, and he wants them to be aggressive and have that mindset, that attack mindset, not chipping and tipping and doing things softly. Now, sometimes the soft touch works. We've seen Kendall Kipp with some high velocity attacks. That one was not hit hard, but it was hit well, and it's a point for Stanford.
Anytime you establish that power, the defense is on their heels, so that opens up that ball to drop.
Do you blame them?
No, of
Some of
course
those
not.
swings she's had tonight might be taking a step or two back, or 3. Baird with the dig. Pukas looked for the dump. Stanford's got it. There's Kipp. There's Oregon's defense.
How about Mimi Collier and Colby Neal ready for that ball defensively? This is a little bit of an out-of-system play. Kendall Kipp gets her feet there and attacking from the back row, but solid Oregon block there.
Collier now with 3 blocks to go along with her 14 kills. She does not collect a 4th ace, however. It's a service error, and it's a point for Stanford. Murphy with the receive, and Gonzalez makes quick work of that.
Stanford serving the ball really aggressive, but Georgia Murphy, the libero for Oregon, handles it perfectly. And look how fast Hannah Pukas pushes that ball to the left side. That's as fast as anybody's running it across the country.
(7-6) here in the 4th. Baird makes it 8-6.
I saw Kevin Hamley talk to Cammie Minor just a couple plays ago about pushing that ball fast out to Baird, who just gets on top of it and hits with such incredible range.
Anna Pringle comes on to serve. Good job by Vicini. That one's going to end up in the front row. Point for Stanford.
Stanford able to get that positive defensive touch at the block and then turn it into a point to Baird on the left side.
Pringle again. That one will sail long, and it's a point for the Ducks. Top 10 matchup between Stanford and Oregon. First of 2 meetings this season between these 2 programs. They'll do it again in a couple weeks on November 9th. Back row attack. goes long. Georgia Murphy ducking for cover on that attack.
That was
got out of the way.
Fucus. That ball was coming
Fucus,
flat at her head, which is scary. Little matrix move defensively to get out of the way and save her life.
Anna can laugh about it now. Overpass. Fucus jumps in to grab it. Lewis finds the opening and gets the point.
I still think that sets a little bit inside for Morgan Lewis, but she makes a smart decision to roll shot the ball right into the middle of the court.
Tied at 9 in the fourth. Collier digs it out. Fucus tries to go quick. Baird, grabbed by Murphy. Fucus sets it back to Lewis. Fucus looks for the kill. Back row attack. Oregon ready again for Kendall Kipp. Again at the net. Baird with the changeup, answered by Oregon. But a lift is called here, and it's a point for Stanford. Crowd disagrees just a bit. Fucus went to the R1 to try to state her case.
All right, Kara McGee watches this ball. She stays on the ground and then just throws it down to the middle of the court. I think that's fine.
There is a very thin line that they're trying to interpret. It's not a clear hit in contact, but you are allowed to do some of what she did. Did she? But in your opinion, she didn't go too far. She didn't gather and cup and throw it down.
I don't think so. I thought it was a block redirect at the net. But moving on.
Moving on, and Stanford moving on. Back-to-back points now. Gonzalez. Fucus gets there. Collier. That one grabs hands. It's a kill for Katie Baird. Baird into double figures, Holly.
Yeah, you know, she's really picked up her game. She was doing all the little things defensively and in serve receive. Now, Katie Baird really lighten up.
3-0 run for Stanford. Minor building some momentum at the service line. But that momentum is squashed by Kara McGee with the kill. Or was it Lewis in the middle?
No,
that's McGee. That's McGee.
Love the one-on-one.
Overpass. Kipp off of Gonzalez. Point Stanford.
Didn't feel like Kendall Kipp got a hold of that ball with her hand. It might have been sailing long, but Gabby Gonzalez of Oregon couldn't get out of the way of it.
Kendall Kipp up to 15 kills now. Collier and McGee each with 14 for Oregon. Baird serves. Fucus runs it to the middle again. Another point for McGee.
Back-to-back kills from Kara McGee in the middle. 2 plays ago, she was one-on-one. This time, Stanford brings Elia Rubin to help in the middle, and they still can't stop Kara McGee.
Minor, it was tight to the net. Great set by Cami Minor to find Rubin for the kill.
And Cami Minor is so good at keeping Stanford in system. Ball is tight to the net. She walks the tightrope and isolates Elia Rubin on that left side who crushes it line.
41 assists, 14 digs tonight for Minor. Collier and serve receive again, and the block is there for Stanford.
That time, Kendall Kipp with the assist on the block. Stanford up in this fourth set, 15-11. talked about these two elite setters running the offense for their respective teams. But it's about defense, it's about offensive decisions. They do more than just run the offense. They call their own number when necessary. Cami Miner, so impressive. And Hannah Pukas runs one of the best offenses in the country. These are two of the best defensive and offensive setters in the country, in my opinion.
Oregon's got 52 kills, Stanford's got 47. You can see the numbers for Miner and for Pukas. And when it comes to assists, but also defense is always there for those two. Miner with 14 digs. Pukas has a team high 17 digs tonight.
She is everywhere.
Pukas sits it back to Lewis. Off the block. Point Oregon.
Hannah Pukas, the setter for Oregon, has made an adjustment, pushing that ball wider to Morgan Lewis, who's an offensive weapon they need to use more, and they were able to do that a couple more times when she went across the front row.
McClellan back to serve. Kipp. 16th kill for Kendall Kipp.
And Cami Miner with a sweet feed. Just a juicy set for Kendall Kipp to operate with.
Kipp to serve for the Cardinal. McClellan at serve receive. That one drops in. Point Oregon.
We've seen it all from Colby Neal. She's gone wide. That time she goes right behind the setter to the deep corner.
Getting late here for Oregon. They've got to keep it clean here against Stanford down the stretch. Service errors adding up. Good hard serve for Stanford. Pukas goes long. Gonzalez, no touch, or was there a touch?
Linesman called a touch.
Yes, initially it looked like there wasn't, and Kevin Hambley says, I am going to challenge. I don't think there was a touch. It was between the block. And you can see Sammy Francis saying, I didn't get it.
That ball went through the seam, and I do not see a touch. It could have come close to Sammy Francis' right hand, but Kevin, ooh.
Yeah, that's going to be a question. That right pinky, and we kind of lose, and there are two fingers of tape there, and it's
so it doesn't have a lot of movement, right?
Kind of lose track of it a little bit. And again, the call is it was touched. So is there enough to overturn? It's another look there that you don't see much movement. That's even a clear look that may be a successful challenge for the Cardinal.
Yeah, I do not see a touch there. It looks like it went right through the seam between the two blockers.
And that's the key part of it too. It was between the seam. You saw that in real time, and then on the replay, the first replay, that
it's interesting. I thought it went through the seam, but you see it from the baseline and it goes in. No, it does go through the seam.
Yes. Don't doubt yourself, Holly.
Like, am I seeing something?
I'm not going to raise a challenge card on you. We've seen enough challenge cards raised here tonight.
Too many. But it's important to get the right call.
Well, so much at stake. We've talked about it. You've got two top 10 teams in the rankings, two top 10 teams in the RPI. Still with a lot of time to go in the season, but if you are trying to position yourself in the best possible way for the NCAA tournament, it's matches like this that make a big difference.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a great test and measure to see what you're doing right, where you can improve. And both coaches said, hey, we're going to learn from this match tonight.
Stanford's last loss was over a month ago. Nebraska in 4. During their 10-match winning streak, they lost just 5 sets, trying to stretch it to 11 here today. And it's a successful challenge for Stanford. No touch, point Cardinal. Key moment right there, because It's now a 5-point lead for Stanford late. 7 points away from taking this match. Tough one for Murphy to handle. Stanford to add to their lead.
It starts from the back line with Elia Rubin, who is just smoking her serve, and that sets an easy transition play for Katie Barrett on the left side.
Timeout called by Oregon. Another great showcase of volleyball. We've seen it time and again all season long. This one, 4-setter. We talked earlier about that 5-setter yesterday. Nebraska knocking off Wisconsin. Wisconsin had a match point in the 4th set. Nebraska 3-0 run to close out that set, and they ended up winning it in 5. Arkansas knocked off by Kentucky, so there are no longer undefeated teams in the SEC. Arkansas's win streak ends at 16. They had one at Tennessee on Friday. Kentucky finding their game. They're on a run right now. They've won 7 in a row. And USC against a very good Washington State team gets the reverse sweep.
Incredible. USC's got the weapons, but they've been inconsistent. But they took care of business. Riley McGinnis was the star for USC, winning in 5 sets.
So Washington State, ranked 4th, goes down. 19th ranked Arizona State in the Pac-12 lost to Colorado via the sweep today as well. Reminder, tomorrow, Monday Night Football. It's Minnesota and the Niners. Niners are 5-1 after that loss. Looking to bounce back with Brock Purdy in charge. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, ABC, ESPN, ESPN Deportes. Also, Peyton and Eli will be on ESPN2.
Oregon's offensive numbers down in this set, hitting 138, and they have 6 errors. On the other side of the net, Stanford hitting 400 with only 2 errors.
Kevin Hambley talked about how this year's team is improved defensively when compared to last year's team. And an ace out of the timeout for Stanford.
I love that Elia Rubin is not letting up on that serve. So much pace, just letting it fly, and we've got another challenge.
We could be challenging the challenge record. Does anybody know what the challenge record is?
I don't know, but we have to be knocking on that door.
I think we pounded the door. I haven't had a match with this many challenges. They are challenging whether or not that was in or out. And the quick look for us looked like it was a good call on the court, that the ball was in. Collier jumping out of the way, and I think it caught the line. It was close.
Yeah, I think it caught the line as well.
Racket back and forth again.
For me, that's it.
If it catches any part of the line, that's not enough to overturn it. Now, if this challenge is unsuccessful, Oregon will be out of challenges. However, if they come back and win this set, they would get a challenge added for set 5. So both teams
waiting,
trying to stay loose. They've been through this before. Sometimes it's in the hands of the DJ to keep everybody loose on the bench.
I like it.
And in the stands, and I think DJ has selected the right song in the eyes of some. There he is. Well done, sir. He's had to dip really deep into his challenge music playlist. Maybe getting into my playlist is use so many challenge songs. So that's it. Call was confirmed. Oregon out of challenges unless we get to set 5. And ace.
Elia Rubin putting so much pace, and it's going right at Daly McClellan, and it gets away from her platform.
8th ace for Stanford tonight. They've been aggressive with that serve, averaging 2 aces per set on the season. They're at that average. Has been a big reason why they've had success here today. They come up with the ace from Rubin, who's had another good night. The sophomore going head-to-head with the sophomore Collier on the other side of the net. And Oregon uses their final timeout, try to slow things down and regroup, now down by 8 here in set 4.
Tough serving is part of Stanford's identity.
Ask and you will receive. We'll show you Stanford with that aggressive serve tonight.
Cami Miner, Kendall Kipp, Katie Baird. Katie Baird again down that line, painting it. And then the last couple have gone to Elia Rubin, who's still on the back line for Stanford.
21-13 here in the fourth. A reminder, Tuesday night, busy as you get in the NHL. All 32 teams will be on the ice. We'll have a triple-header on ESPN. Caps and Leafs get it started at 6 Eastern. Bruins and Blackhawks follow. Then the Flyers and the defending Cup champs Las Vegas close out the triple-header. And we'll have Frozen Frenzy on ESPN2 starting at 8 Eastern time. That's whip-around coverage of every game. Coverage gets started with the point at 5 Eastern on ESPN2. Excellent crowd here tonight, 4,363. Won't be a record, but they've been loud, they've been into it, and they'd love to have something to cheer for here down the stretch. Cardinal in control at the moment, and that helps for Oregon. A service error for Stanford brings Oregon within 7.
Oregon needs to really be focused on their defense right now. Obviously, it starts from a serve, trying to get Stanford out of system so they can defend.
Diebold on to serve. The freshman, big spot here. Trying to go on a service run. Good serve to start. It's an ace for the freshman.
And she has been fearless. Lots of pace down that line at Sammy Francis, who's the middle blocker, usually not in the serving rotation.
7th ace for UO. Another good serve. The block drops in. Another point for Oregon.
Stanford out of system, that ball way inside, and Oregon makes the adjustment. Hannah Pukas and Kara McGee there for the block.
Freshman with another great serve, another ace. The Ducks aren't done yet.
3 balls in a row with pace down that line, and Stanford wants a timeout. This is crossbody down the line with so much pace. That ball is barely clearing the tape and not a lot of time for the passer to react.
So a couple of aces during this run for the freshman from Minnesota. And Oregon, which was down 21-13, is on a 4-0 run to get within 4.
And it has been about runs. The first 2 sets went to Stanford on 4-1 runs, but Oregon able to take care of set 3, and now they need a lot of stops to tie it up and push ahead.
McGee and Collier leading the way for Oregon when it comes to kills. 15 for McGee, 14 for Collier. McGee hitting .542 tonight. She also has 4 blocks. But right now the story is the freshman at the service line trying to continue this run right now for Oregon. A couple of aces during this run. And Oregon is within 4, forcing the Stanford timeout. Off the block, Gonzalez can't get there. Stanford ends the run at 4 for Oregon. And the Cardinal 3 points away from winning the match.
Katie Baird went off the inside blocker's hand. I like the hustle play by Gonzalez to try and run it down, but too much pace on it.
Anna Pringle comes on to serve for Stanford. Back row attack blocked by Stanford. Pukas sent it over. Miner looks for Baird, off hands, point Stanford.
Stanford, knowing the ball's going to go to Mimi Collier, the hot hitter, even though she's in the back row, they've been able to put 2 blockers to slow her back row attack down.
Cardinal 2 points away from taking the match. Pringle serves McClellan again. Fight at the net, drops in for Oregon, and the Ducks get the point.
Hannah Pukas was a front row setter for Oregon, and both Stanford blockers were thinking about the hitter.
Can Pukas go on a run for Oregon? Back row attack. Once again, it's Kip. Finds the spot. Match point, Stanford.
How about the placement by Kendall Kip out of the back row? First of all, good pass by Baird, and then short in front of Pukas.
Cami Miner serving for the match. Gonzalez got a hand on it. Murphy hustles for it. Oregon still alive. Miner, Baird, the block. Point Oregon.
Oregon doing everything they can to stay in this match. Cami Miner, tough serve. Georgia Murphy runs that ball down, and Oregon stays in the rally, finishing with a block.
Match point number 2. Gonzalez, good serve. Kip. Grabbed by Pukas, now Murphy. Lewis missed the mark. Point Stanford. The match goes to Stanford. 28 consecutive Pac-12 wins for the Cardinal. They win it in 4.
Good performance, good test for both teams. Stanford able to respond at the end of sets. Offensively, Oregon ended hitting 239 compared to Stanford's 291. Both teams really put a big effort into their defense tonight.
Kendall Kip leading the way for Stanford. 17 kills on 44 swings. She also had 8 digs and 5 blocks on the night. Rubin close behind with 15 kills, hitting at 394. For Oregon, Kara McGee in the middle, another good match for her. She had 14 kills Friday, 15 kills tonight. Mimi Collier was big again with 14 kills, but in the end, Stanford improves to 10-0 in the Pac-12, 17-2 overall with a 4-set win here in Eugene tonight. Third-ranked Cardinal win again. For Holly McPeak and our entire crew, I'm Eric Freed saying so long from Eugene. Stanford makes it 11 wins in a row. Now time for SportsCenter.